I was so relaxed during my hiatus in May, my 4-week hiatus. And I might have to take at least another 2-week hiatus away from doing free videos and just go back to serving the needs of my Patreon subscribers. Because sometimes the stupidity, yes, I said the S word, the stupidity of my haters and critics, 2/3 of the time it amuses me, but at least 1/3 of the time it irritates me. See, that's why I love my Patreon subscribers. I don't have no dumbasses that are Patreon subscribers. Number one, they've read just about all my books. They own just about all my audiobooks. So they don't, I don't need to talk to them from ground zero. But you haters and critics, 90% of y'all ain't never read none of my ebooks, none of my paperbacks. Y'all ain't never purchased none of my audiobooks. But y'all think y'all know Mo One. Because you're stupid. Yeah, I called you stupid. I don't even like to call people stupid. But you're stupid. So you know what Mo One does? And I've talked about this. I talked about this, I think, in my last video in late April of this year. The one when I went on you, when I went in on you verbal cowards. See, a lot of guys don't like Mo One because it forces you to have that talk with yourself. That talk with yourself where you have to admit to yourself that up to this point, you've been nothing less than a verbal coward. That's the only reason you got liars and manipulators, is because at your core, you're a verbal coward. You're scared of rejection, and particularly quick, straightforward, abrupt rejection. And you're scared of negative reactions from women. Scared of being harshly criticized. Scared of being insulted. Scared of adverse reactions. You can't handle that shit because your ego's too fragile, your skin's too thin. And you use your verbal cowardice, however you pronounce it, as justifications of why Mo One won't work for you. And to take it a step further, some of you say it won't work for the average Joe in society, the average man in society. Nah, motherfucker. Just look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a verbal coward. That's what you need to do. I did that. So don't be ashamed to do that. I did that, I think, around the age of 20, 21. I realized, matter of fact, I'll tell you the single most moment I realized it. If you listen to my verbal seduction story #1, and ooh, say it again, or if you only got the ebook or paperback, you can look at the written version. As you all know, that was my main turning point. If I had a singular turning point as it relates to Mo One, it was verbal seduction story #1 in my book, Ooh, Say It Again. Because up to that point, that's what I had been. I had been a verbal coward with women. Like that woman in the first hour of that triple date I was on in that story. I knew I wanted to fuck her. I knew I did. I knew that the number one thing I wanted to do was fuck her. But I didn't have the balls to straightforwardly tell her that shit. And because of that, she was treating me like I was a bitch. Like I was just a beta male bitch boy. And it took her making me angry. I had to get angry. Basically, I had to go into mode 4. I went from mode 2 to mode 4, then to mode 1. During that triple date that I described in Verbal Seduction Story #1 and Ooh, Say It Again. Yeah, but what I realized later is that because if you know the story, for the first roughly 75 minutes of that triple date, that woman was treating me like I was a punk. She was talking down to me. Anytime I tried to touch her, even just something as innocently as touch on her arm, she was brushing my hand away. And kept telling me, you ain't gonna get none. I know you trying to get some. You ain't gonna get none. See, that's how you're gonna be treated when you're a verbal coward. And it wasn't until she came outside and started taunting me, because I was agitated, and she started taunting me and said, oh, poor baby, having a pity party, feeling sorry for you, so you kind of sensitive. And as you know, the infamous thing I did, I turned around, looked her dead in the eyes, I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. That was the day I earned my balls. That was the day I earned my balls and my backbone. I looked at her, I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. And she challenged me, as most women gonna do when you try to go from being beta to alpha on them. She said, excuse me, what did you say? She leaned in, looked me dead in my eyes. She said, excuse me, what did you say? And I leaned right back in. I said, you heard what I said. I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. And as you all know, the most magical thing happened, as it does a lot of times with Mode 1. The most magical thing happened. In a matter of seconds, not minutes, not hours, in a matter of seconds, this woman's whole demeanor changed. She went from this loud talking, smart alecky, just basically straight up bitch type female, to all of a sudden she became extraordinarily feminine and submissive. She started calling me sir without me telling her to call me sir. Normally, I tell women to call me sir. After she realized that I was an alpha male with strong backbone, I said, this is what I told her to refresh your memory. After I told her to shut the fuck up, I said, bitch, I'm going to give you two options for the night. You either going to suck my dick or you going to shut the fuck up the rest of the night. You ain't going to say shit to me. I said, you got that? She said, yes, sir. I said, now where's your car? Did you drive? She said, yes, sir. I said, where's your car? She said, it's over there. I said, you get ready to go suck my dick. Did I ask her nicely to suck my dick? Did I offer to take her out on 3 dates for you 3-date room proponents and shit? No, I told her, take me to your car because you're about to suck my dick. And she sucked it. Now, normally I get most of my haterade here on YouTube. But just this morning, and O'Shea Duke Jackson, editor-in-chief of the Negro Manosphere, he was witness today because he started this thread that he had tagged me on Facebook. Some guy, I'm going to call him out by name. What's this dude's name? B.J. Olden or something like that? O-L-D-E-N. Call himself trying to hate on Mode 1 on Facebook. I rarely get haters on Facebook. Again, 99% of my haters and critics usually are limited to YouTube. And maybe certain message boards that I might not be aware of. Like, I'm a PUA hate. I used to have a lot of haters and critics over there. And I would go over there and fuck with them, indulge them, humor them. Because I made money from PUA hate. I got a lot of email consultation clients and Skype and telephone consultation clients from PUA hate. Hold on a second. Let me look up this dude. Make sure I'm not misspelling his name. Yeah, I'm calling this brother out by name because he tried to hate on me simply because he don't understand Mode 1 like a lot of you dumbasses out there. There's a lot of dumbasses out there. Y'all don't understand simple logic and how the world works. Because your social programming doesn't want to allow you to understand Mode 1. Let me repeat that. So you always hear me talk about social programming. A lot of you all, your social programming does not want to allow you to understand and agree with the effectiveness of Mode 1. Because you know it will shatter your whole world. That's what's up. Because you'll find yourself saying, damn, you mean I invested all this time pursuing this woman's sexual companionship? Spent all this money pursuing this woman's companionship, and I could have fucked this woman without spending not even $5 on her and without talking to her on the phone for 4 or 5 hours? Is that what I'm understanding? Yeah, that's what you understanding. Yeah, that's the name. BJOLDEN. Yeah, if you're a Facebook friend of mine, you'll see it. But yeah, man, this brother, he a young brother, man. I ain't gonna go too hard on, because I know he young, man. A lot of these young brothers, man, out here, man. You know, speaking of young brothers and young guys, period, here's what I find amusing. I've had some guys, particularly guys who are a follower and supporter of another dating coach. I ain't gonna say his name, but y'all probably know who I'm talking about. Some of his followers, not all of them, not even most of them, but some of them, have come out and said, Alan, the advice you give to men is outdated because you're 55 years old and your stuff is outdated. Insert dog face here. This is funny to me. This is what I say. Sometimes y'all haters and critics agitate, irritate me, but other times, most of the time, y'all amuse me. Here I got guys calling my advice outdated, but yet they're emphasizing methods and techniques of getting women in bed that have been around since the 1970s. For example, a lot of guys I keep seeing in the comment section, I'm down with the 3-date rule. The 3-date rule. For those not familiar with the 3-date rule, that's the idea that you take a woman out on at least 3 lunch dates, 3 dinner dates, or a combination of the two, maybe 2 lunch dates and 1 dinner date, or 2 dinner dates and 1 lunch date. And then if a woman doesn't give you the pussy by the end of the 3rd date, you leave her alone. That's called the 3-date rule. You only give women attention and spend money on her up until the end of the 3rd date, and if she don't give up the pussy by the end, you leave her alone. Do y'all motherfuckers think that shit is new? Do you really? Do you really think that shit is new? Do you realize that shit been around like since the 1980s, if not the 1970s? I mean, seriously? When I was in college, man, dudes was using the 3-date rule. Some of my frat brothers used to use the 3-date rule. Are you serious? I was in college like in the mid-80s, man. Motherfuckers was using the 3-date rule. And y'all talking about my advice is outdated? And y'all promoting some shit that's been around since the 80s? And just the overall notion, the indirect method of pretending like you want to be a woman's long-term boyfriend in order to sneak your way into scoring casual sex with women. That shit's been around since the 70s. People was using that technique when I was in the 70s, man. That's one of the reasons why I started exhibiting Mode 1 behavior, was to go against that technique. Was to basically say to men, you don't have to use that technique, that unethical technique. But yet, a lot of these young guys talking about that technique like it's new. Name one technique y'all been talking about, alternative method for hooking up with women, that you would say is exclusive to the 21st century. Name one thing. Name one thing. Name one thing you're talking about that's been exclusive to the 21st century, that was never used in the 1970s, the 1980s, or 1990s. Please, I invite you to, in my comment section, name a technique that y'all are promoting of hooking up with women that was never, ever, not even one time used in the 1970s, 1980s, or 1990s. It would have to involve the use of maybe texting or something, even though texting technically was around in the mid to late 90s. But unless you're talking about some game that's specific to text message game, and cell phone game, I don't know of anything that y'all can describe to me that's exclusive to the 21st century. And see, this relates to why I got somewhat offended, man, when I was talking to Donovan Sharp, when we had that discussion and debate when it was me, Donovan Sharp, and Alpha Male Strategies. Because Donovan Sharp was describing different methods and techniques of hooking up with women to me as if I wasn't familiar with them, as if they were like new. And I'm looking like, motherfucker, everything you saying, I done heard like 2,000 times before. It ain't a method out there of hooking up with women that I'm not familiar with and that I haven't tried out at least 2 or 3 times. It ain't, let me repeat that. There's not a method of connecting with women romantically or for casual sex that's out there that I'm, number one, not familiar with, and number two, that I haven't myself tried at least 2 or 3 times, if not more. As I told y'all, I wrote an article on the Negro Manosphere. I'll probably put it in the comment section again, and I did at least 1 or 2 videos. Well, here's the deal, man. All methods of getting a woman in bed really come down to these 5 things. They fit under 5 categories. Every single method of getting a woman in bed generally falls into 5 categories. 5 categories. And that is attraction, number 1. Attraction. I would say, that's the easiest method of getting a woman in bed. It's simply with attraction. What is it? Attraction, to attract someone means to draw someone to you. To draw someone to you. Typically, because of a combination of your looks and your demeanor and your overall sex appeal. So if I'm able to go to a social event, a party, a nightclub, social event, and just because of a combination of my physical appearance and the way I carry myself, the energy I give off, the vibe I give off, or like what Ron Wills likes to call someone's aura. I've used that term a few times too. I more so call it your vibe. He calls it your aura. And just on that, you're able to attract women to you and have them just basically offer to give you some pussy. That means you're getting pussy because of attraction. Like, I've always highlighted the number 1 year that I would say I got most of my pussy from just pure attraction was my senior year in high school. My senior year in high school, most of the time I didn't even have to say nothing to them. I mean, women literally just like threw the pussy at me, man. I mean, I know that makes me sound conceited as fuck, but it's the truth. Women used to just throw pussy at me. Matter of fact, it was so bad, sometimes women would throw the pussy at me with their boyfriend standing next to them. And I'm not even joking or exaggerating. That's why I had guys, y'all have heard me mention before in previous videos, I had a lot of guys that used to try to start fights with me, man, when I was in high school. Because, man, women would flirt with me and basically let me know I could fuck them with their boyfriend either standing right next to them or maybe standing like a foot or 2 away. Women would come to me when I was seeing high school, they'd be like, damn, you fine and sexy. What's your name? I'd be like, Alan. They'd be like, oh, here's my number. Call me. The next thing I know, the boyfriend would be like, did you just give that motherfucker your number? Did I just watch you give a motherfucker your number and you my lady? And I'd be like, oh shit, this woman got a boyfriend? I'm serious, man. That happened to me at least a dozen times when I was a senior in high school, man, where women would blatantly flirt with me with their boyfriend standing or sitting right next to them. Yeah, man, I was hated on so much my senior in high school, man. Man, like dudes I didn't even know, man, would try to start fights with me just because I was so popular with the girl. So anyway, without rubbing my, as Tony Mesa would say, without me rubbing my balls in motherfuckers' faces about how popular I was, that represents attraction. Attraction is basically, in a nutshell, when you really don't have to do shit to get any pussy from a woman. Woman, again, just based on the combination of your looks and your sex appeal, she's pretty much just going to offer you the opportunity to fuck her. That's method, I say method number one, and probably the easiest method of getting pussy. Is when you just, as Big Mike from Mac City Limits would say, you just got it like that. That's when a guy just got it like that. You ain't got to spit out no verbal game to women, nothing. You ain't got to offer to treat them to lunch or dinner. You ain't got to spend hours talking to them on the phone. Women just like the way you look. They like your sexy demeanor. They know they just want to give you some pussy. That's attraction. Seduction. Method number two. I emphasize, in my dating advice, I emphasize both attraction and seduction, but more so seduction. What's the main basis of seduction? That centers primarily around the concept of persuasion. Charming persuasion. Why is seduction necessary? Seduction comes into play mainly in two scenarios. When you have a woman that is attracted to you to some degree, she's attracted to you to some degree, but she either A, doesn't want to have sex with you as quickly as you want to have sex with her, or B, she doesn't want to have sex with you within the same context that you want to have sex with her. So for example, let's say I meet a woman named Michelle, and I'm basically letting her know that I want to fuck her. And she basically says, well, I'm attracted to you too, but you're going to have to spend the next 3 weeks getting to know me first before I let you get this pussy. I ain't going to just give it to you. You're going to have to spend at least the next 3 weeks getting to know me better before I give you this pussy. And because my verbal game is so tight and my persuasive charm skills are so tight, in other words, what I like to call my verbal seduction skills are so tight, I end up fucking her sooner rather than later. Let's say I end up fucking her either that same day that I met her, or if not that same day, I end up fucking her within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, as opposed to what she said, I would have to wait at least 3 weeks. See, that would mean I seduced her. That's one example of seduction. If a woman is telling me it's going to take a minimum of 3 weeks, a 3-week investment for me to fuck her, but I get her to give me some pussy within 24 to 72 hours, that means I seduced her. Similar, let's say I meet a woman named Tanya and I want to fuck her, and she lets me know that she's attracted to me too, but she says I only have sex with men within the context of a long-term monogamous boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But I'm able to use my verbal seduction skills to persuade her to engage in short-term, non-monogamous casual sex with me. See, that means I seduced her. That's seduction. So again, seduction primarily centers around your ability to persuade a woman to go against her preferences for having sex and give in to your preferences. Again, for example, a woman's preference is to engage in long-term sex, but you persuade her to engage in short-term sex. Her preference is to engage in monogamous sex, but you persuade her to engage in non-monogamous sex. Her preference is to make you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks before having sex with her, but you persuade her to give you the pussy within 24 to 72 hours. That's when you know you're a master of seduction, which is what I am. If I had to put a martial arts term, I'm a 9th degree black belt in verbal seduction skills. I got a PhD in verbal seduction skills. I've had a lot of women over the years who said, well, I'm not going to have sex with you if you're not my boyfriend. And then an hour or two later, my dick was in their mouth. I've had a lot of women say, oh, you're going to have to take me out to dinner 5 times before I have sex with you. And 2 hours later, their ankles was on my shoulder while I was fucking them. That's the shit that happens to you when you're a master seducer. And see, I got a lot of men who are jealous and envious of my verbal seduction skills. And they can't help but to throw haterade my way and be a doubter and a naysayer. Because you know what it is? A lot of men, again, I'm going to throw out the two words, social programming. And see, that's why, where's that book at? See, that's why I always promote the book, Daniel Bergner's book called What Women Want. Or is it What Do Women Want? One of the two. What Women Want and What Do Women Want? See, what was my first real provocative video I did on YouTube? It was a video called The Myth of the Prudish and Monogamy-Oriented Good Girl. The Myth of the Prudish and Monogamy-Oriented Good Girl. And I don't have his excerpt in front of me, but in a nutshell, this is what Daniel Bergner says in his book. There's no fucking such thing as a good girl. And I've always known that even before I read his book. There ain't no such thing as a good girl. That's the problem with a lot of you guys. You guys, I mentioned this, I think, in my very last video. A lot of you guys want to look at women as either prudish, strictly monogamy-oriented good girls or kinky, promiscuous sluts. And y'all don't even want to think about those good girls having sex with men fairly quickly without being that man's boyfriend or that man's girlfriend. But see, I'm here to tell you, and Daniel Bergner was trying to tell you with his book, man, no woman is born no good girl. No woman is born no good girl. Women are brainwashed, socially programmed to present themselves as an innocent, wholesome, prudish, strictly monogamy-oriented good girl by their parents and other factions of society. But no woman is born that way. Women are biologically created to have sex, to fuck, to get aroused by the idea of fucking. Period. I know how to skip through a woman's social programming. I know how to neutralize that shit. I know how to disable, if only temporarily disable, a woman's social programming and get that woman's pussy dripping wet. And see, y'all, that fucks with a lot of you motherfuckers. Admit the shit. That fucks with you, that you can meet a woman that you think is a classy good girl that has to be wined and dined and courted in order to have sex. And a motherfucker like me could come around and talk some verbal game in that woman's ear and fuck her in 24 to 72 hours. That fucks with y'all. Yeah, man, that fucks with y'all, man. Just like women get thrown for a loop when they realize that aspects of their social programming are invalid, same thing with men. But here's the book. It's What Do Women Want? This is a good book. If y'all don't want to read my books, you need to read this book. Daniel Bergner, and he's no professional sexologist. He's no credentialed psychologist or sociologist, but this dude breaks some shit down. He breaks down a lot of shit that I instinctively and intuitively already knew, but you could say he just confirmed a lot of shit for me. He didn't really teach me anything that I didn't know in this book, but he more so confirmed a lot of shit that I knew instinctively and intuitively to be true. And again, the biggest thing he confirmed in this book is that a lot of guys think that women are born to be more monogamy oriented than men are. Like, I've heard men say that. They'll say, men, we're born to be womanizers and born to be promiscuous. But women, they're going against their nature when they're promiscuous. They're going against their nature. No, they're not. No, they're not. Women are born to be just as promiscuous and or polyamorous as men are. They ain't born to be no monogamy oriented. And I dare you to provide me with any type of certified biological proof, scientific evidence that says otherwise. Women aren't born to be monogamy oriented. They're socialized to be monogamy oriented, just like a lot of men are. There's a lot of men who are socialized to be monogamy oriented, namely, usually through religion, organized religion. That's what organized religion does. It socializes people to lean more towards monogamy oriented behavior rather than promiscuous or polyamorous oriented behavior. But ain't no man or woman born to be strictly monogamy oriented. If you believe that shit, then I got some swampland in Arizona I want to sell you. So again, going back to my 5 methods, I've covered attraction, I've covered seduction. The next method of getting a woman in bed, which a lot of guys are fans of, is dishonesty and manipulation. Dishonesty and manipulation. The simple example of that technique would be, I just mentioned that in seduction, if I run across a woman who tells me that she prefers to engage in sex only within the context of a long-term monogamous relationship, I'm going to seek to persuade her to engage in short-term non-monogamous sex. But see, a lot of guys, they don't have verbal seduction skills. They don't have any persuasive charm. So what do? They lie to a woman and mislead a woman into believing that that's what they want too. So if a woman wants to say, yeah, I only have sex with a man within the context of a long-term boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, what a dishonest manipulator will do is say, well, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a long-term monogamous relationship just like you. And then what happens is once he gets the pussy 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, he just goes ghost on that woman. What's commonly known as hit it and quit it, or fucking dump. That's the new 21st century term. In the 80s and 90s, they would call that hit it and quit it. Now they call it fucking dump. That's what liars do, manipulators do, and verbal cowards do. They choose dishonesty and manipulation because they don't have the balls and backbone to straightforwardly tell women that they just want casual sex. And again, they don't have the verbal seduction skills. They don't have the mouthpiece and the persuasive charm to persuade a woman to engage in casual sex instead of relationship sex. So they just lie to the woman. As y'all know, I'm not down for that shit. I'm not down for that shit. Again, my main 2 reasons why. Number 1, to me, it's just flat out wrong and unethical. And number 2, you said if you're dealing with a woman that's an experienced manipulator herself, she gonna play your ass. And that's why I wrote my book, The Possibility of Sex. She gonna play your ass. Trust me on that. She gonna play your ass. If a woman's a seasoned, savvy manipulator, and you try to use that technique, you're gonna get played. You're gonna get played. Oh, going back to this guy on Facebook, BJ Odin. He tried to say, well, Alan, even when you're Mo 1, you can still get played by women. If you're Mo 1, women can still like manipulate you and play games with you. So your method's no better than being indirect and lying to women. You can still get played. Insert dog face here. No, you can't. Like I told BJ Odin, no, you can't. That's the beauty of Mo 1. No, you can't. Why? See, here's the only way a woman can manipulate you. Here's the only way a woman can mislead you. Uh-oh.
I'm reminding you, Moro. I'm reminding you, Moro.
She got it wrong. She was supposed to say it longer than that, but I know what she's talking about. Oh, yeah, I got to go. I got a Skype consultation. Alexa, who is Alan Roger Currie?
Alan Roger Currie is an American dating coach, self-help author, motivational speaker, and YouTube personality.
Yeah, I like it when she strokes my ego like that. The only way a woman can mislead you, string you along, and manipulate you is when you're offering to do one of 2 things. When you're offering to invest a significant amount of time in pursuit of her sexual companionship, or when you're offering to invest a significant amount of money in pursuit of her sexual companionship. That's the main thing women manipulate men for, is your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, and access to your financial resources and material possessions. If you ain't offering no time, how can a woman manipulate you? If you ain't offering no money, how can a woman manipulate you? See, if you invest, say, 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours of time pursuing a woman's sexual companionship, at the end of those 10, 15, 20 hours, a woman could just simply say, well, I appreciate you spending all this time with me, but I've decided I ain't going to give you no pussy. Then you're going to feel stupid. Same with if you spend a lot of money on a woman. If you spend, $50, $100, $150, $200 on a woman, and after you spend that $200 on one woman says, I appreciate all those those dinners at those 5-star restaurants and all those free movies you gave me, but I'm deciding I ain't going to give you no pussy. See, that's why I went away from mode 2, man. Because I didn't like how it felt to invest time and money and not get no pussy. And this brings me to this ridiculous assertion that some people have, including another dating coach who will not be named. This idea that recently the guy's been saying, well, Alan, one of my criticisms on one, I think mode 1 is cool and all, but if there's at least one criticism I have of mode 1 is that you're going to leave pussy on the table. You're going to leave pussy on the table. Insert dog face here. Y'all don't even know what it means to leave something on the table. See, people, you shouldn't talk. There's a term y'all should be familiar with. That's called talking out your ass. What does it mean to talk out your ass? Is when you say shit and you don't even really know the meaning behind it. You don't even really know what you're saying. You're just saying shit because you think it sounds good. Do you know what it means to leave something on the table? Here are examples of leaving something on the table. Let's say you're a sports agent and you represent a high-profile NFL athlete or NBA athlete. And say you're going into the negotiation, going to negotiate a new contract for your athlete client with the owner of a sports team, like the owner of the Raiders or the owner of the New York Knicks. And you say, I want my client to be paid $12 million a year. And the sports owner says, no, I think he's only worth $7 million a year. And you say, no, he's worth $12 million a year. At bare minimum, $10 million a year. And the owner says, no, I think he's worth $7 million a year. At maximum, $8.5 million a year. What does that mean? One of y'all got to budge. Either you got to bring your demands lower or he got to raise his offer. Let's say you decide to walk away from the table. You say, fuck it. If you're not going to pay my athlete $12 million a year and at bare minimum $10 million a year, I'm walking away from this negotiation table. And the sports owner says, okay, walk away. And you say, my client's going to sit out this season because you ain't willing to give him a contract that he's worth. And the sports owner says, okay. What does that mean? That means you left money on the table. That means you, as a sports agent, you're willing to leave money on the table rather than take an offer, accept an offer that's below your demands, below your standards. In the world of negotiation, that's what it means to leave money on the table. Or let's say somebody said, Alan, I'm willing to... As a matter of fact, I've had this happen. This will be a real life example. Well, the first one was a real life example. But I've had guys, other pickup artists and dating coaches that wanted to do what's known as an affiliate. An affiliate. Where basically an affiliate collaboration is when another dating coach or pickup artist basically comes to you and says, I'll help you promote your books if you help me promote my books. And I'll give you a cut whenever somebody buys one of your books from my site. And if you feature my book on your site, then you give me a cut of those sales. I can't tell you how many offers I've had like that. I haven't had any in the last, say, 2 to 3 years, probably because I made it known that I'm not down for that. But But I remember between roughly 2007 and I want to say 2013, I had a lot of guys, like other dating coaches and pickup artists, that would come to me with these proposals of reciprocal affiliation, where again, they would say, I'll promote your books on my site if you promote my books on your site, and whatever sales I get of your book from my site, I'll give you a cut and you do the same for me. And I always would respectfully decline. And some people would say, well, damn, Alan, you could make more money. You're leaving money on the table. See, that was an example when I got accused of leaving money on the table. But I was willing to do that because I don't want my books associated with indirect motherfuckers. I don't. I've never wanted my books associated with indirect motherfuckers. Ever. People who promote dishonesty and manipulation, I don't want my books associated with them. Nope. So, for a woman to leave pussy on the table, for you to leave pussy on the table, would first mean that a woman would have to offer you pussy. That would be the first thing that would have to happen. A woman would have to say to you, hey, Frank, if you take me out to dinner 5 Fridays in a row, I will guarantee you that I give you some of this pussy. And you say, no, I'm willing to take you out on 3 dates to get your pussy, but I ain't willing to take you out on 5 dates. And she says, no, you got to take me out on 5 dates. You say, no, 3 dates. And she says, no, 5 dates. You say, no, 3 dates. And she says, okay, I'm willing to compromise 4 dates. Now, see, if you agree on 4 dates, what would that be? That would be negotiation, which is another method of getting women in bed. Negotiation. Anytime you negotiate time and or money, you're negotiating. Tricking is negotiation. Whining and dining is negotiation. But let's say you say, no, I'm hard line on 3. If you don't give me the pussy by the end of the 3rd date, I ain't taking you out on the dinner dates. And she says, well, then fuck it. That would be an example of you leaving pussy on the table. That would be a legitimate example of you leaving pussy on the table. If a woman guaranteed you that she was going to give you the pussy if you took out on 5 dates, but because you don't want to take out on more than 3 dates, you said, no, I'd rather not take you out on any dates than to take you out on 5 dates and be guaranteed the pussy. That would be you leaving pussy on the table. But to say that Mode 1 causes you to leave pussy on the table, in what way? In what way? Number one, if a woman ain't offered you no guaranteed pussy, you ain't leaving shit on the table. You ain't leaving shit on the table. The only way you leaving pussy on the table is if a woman tells you a certain condition or certain scenario that you have to fulfill to guarantee. Like she says, you have to give me $150 in exchange for me fucking you. And you say, no, I'll pay you 75, maybe 100, but not 150. She says, no, lowest I'm coming down is 125. And you say, no, fuck it. I'm not going to pay you that. See, that would be another example of you leaving pussy on the table. Woman offered you her terms and conditions for getting her pussy and you didn't accept her terms and conditions. That's leaving pussy on the table. But if a woman ain't giving you no terms and conditions for how you can fuck her, how the fuck are you leaving pussy on the table? Nigga, please quit insulting my fucking intelligence. So we covered 4 of those: traction, seduction, dishonesty and manipulation, negotiation. I have more respect for guys who engage in negotiation than I do guys who engage in dishonesty and manipulation. I really do. Even though tricking is illegal in most cities and countries, but I have more respect for that than I do dishonesty and manipulation. And the final of the 5 methods of getting a woman in bed is coercion, which would involve rape, date rape, sexual assault, and other heinous crimes and unsavory tactics that can land you in jail. So every method out there is a variation of those 4 things. Those 5 things. Every method you can promote is going to fall into one of those 5 categories. It's going to fall under attraction, seduction, dishonesty and manipulation, negotiation, and coercion. Of those 5, the 2 I promote is attraction and seduction. Attraction and seduction. I even at least halfway respect negotiation, tricking, because honestly, I've admitted I've done tricking when I've been out of town, and even more specifically, out of the country. I've tricked at least a handful of times in my life. Yeah, when I've been traveling, I never have tricked in my own city, but I'll trick when I'm traveling, and particularly traveling out of the country. So if guys trick occasionally, I don't have any harsh criticism of that. If you're tricking with women though on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, then no, man, I ain't. My biggest thing with tricking, and while a lot of people think I'm anti-tricking, I'm not so much anti-tricking, but my biggest criticism of tricking is that you don't earn bragging rights when you trick. That's my biggest thing with tricking. You don't earn bragging rights when you trick. In other words, if you fuck 5, 10 women because you tricked on 10 women, you don't have the same egotistical bragging rights as a motherfucker who fucked 10 women because of attraction and seduction. You don't have the same bragging rights. If I fuck 10 women for free and you fuck 10 women because you gave each of those women $200 or $300, you don't have the same bragging rights I do. Anyway, I got a Skype consultation I got to attend to. So, but yeah, man, you haters and critics, come on with it. Keep coming with your bullshit stuff that I can break down in every video I do, that I can render invalid in every video I do. I told y'all, man, you can't fade Mo 1. You can try, and I admire the motherfuckers y'all trying, but you can't fade Mo 1. You ain't got to be exceptionally good looking to be Mo 1. You ain't got to be exceptionally wealthy to be Mo 1. You ain't even got to have a really big dick to be Mo 1. You got to have big balls and strong backbone. You cannot be a verbal coward like a lot of you haters and critics have. Y'all are verbal cowards. You need to admit that to yourself. Y'all need to have a turning point. But I know it makes y'all sleep better at night when you think of women as being these prudish, strictly monogamous-oriented good girls and other women as being these kinky sluts. And that's why y'all say, man, Mo 1 only works on slutty women. Yeah, I say, introduce me to a woman that you think is a good girl. Give me her phone number and see don't I have her playing with her pussy in the first conversation. See don't I have her playing with her pussy in the first conversation. Y'all know my history. I done fucked a lot of married women, man. I don't do it anymore. I stopped doing it around the age of 38. But between roughly 17 and 38, I used to fuck a lot of married women, women who were engaged to be married, and women who had long-term boyfriends. All of those women, their men thought they were good girls, didn't they? Otherwise, they wouldn't have been in a relationship with them. Their husbands thought they were good girls, didn't they? Their fiancés thought they were good girls, didn't they? Their boyfriends thought they were good girls, didn't they? Then why was my dick in their mouth? Usually within 72 hours after I met them. Why was my dick in their mouth? Marinate on that shit. Mode 1, baby. Mode 1. Mode 1. Up front and straightforward. Ooh, say it again. This will help you with your mouthpiece and your verbal seduction skills. Beta male revolution. You'll understand why women react differently to alpha males versus beta males. And the book I don't have in paperback is The Possibility of Sex. That book explains why indirect methods and using vague and ambiguous language with women is highly ineffective and will lead to you getting played. I'm out.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive. Your intonations are the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice. How you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.